Hi, I'm Olivia,
Hi, I'm Maggie.
and this is Girls Talk Film. And today we are talking about antiheroes.
Antiheroes. I don't know if a lot of people actually know the correct definition of an antihero.
Well, they shouldn't worry because I wrote it down.
I knew you would. I knew you would. Before we started recording.
We didn't talk about that
No,
either.
not at all. Olivia is so good with prepping research for the episodes. I was like, I know she'll have it written down. It's fine. I just went into it knowing you would.
I do have it written down.
Okay, so take it away.
Okay, so for those who don't know, an antihero is a main character in a book or a film who lacks the conventional heroic qualities, such as maybe idealism or courage or kindness. But they are still the character that drives the narrative. They could exhibit flawed, selfish, even violent behaviors, but they often will have kind of redeemable qualities that make you want to root for them or good intentions in some way. I wouldn't really say that any of our anti-heroes this week have good intentions. Maybe Travis.
I would say he is the one out of our three that is the closest to someone we root for.
Yeah.
But the other two, absolutely not.
No, I definitely feel sympathy for all of them at certain points.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't feel sympathy for one of them at least at all in any point.
Really interesting.
Yeah. Before we get into our specific movies, I have to ask, do you have a favorite antihero, whether it be TV or movies or books?
That's such a hard one. I feel like I read so many books with unreliable narrators or anti-hero main characters. That is typically just what I like to read. Mm-hmm. Maybe Humbert and Lolita. I feel like that's the wrong answer. I feel like that
you're gonna get a lot of heat for that answer.
Yeah, I feel like that is the wrong answer, but it's more about how he serves as the narrator of Lolita and how his character and his voice shapes the novel and kind of manipulates you. I enjoy that. I wouldn't say that I enjoy him.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
I think you said it in the definition, but I think with certain antiheroes, you're made to root for them a bit more, but I feel with some other ones, it's kind of like that you'll love to hate them kind of thing. So I don't blame you for having an antihero where it's no, I kind of like that he's a manipulative character.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the fact that it's framed through his eyes is what makes it such a great novel. It's because you find yourself kind of against your will sympathizing with him at points, and then he'll do something horrible and it's oh my God, how did I ever feel that way about him? He's just an interesting character to me.
Totally.
Which is kind of how I feel definitely about Travis and about Lou. And our three films this week are Taxi Driver, A Clockwork Orange, and Nightcrawler, for those who didn't read the title.
It's okay.
It's fine. We've all been there.
I love antiheroes. I love okay, I'm a little bit of a hypocrite because I was saying to you off camera, I was I don't like this movie because it doesn't follow a typical narrative structure. So I definitely love a classic story and a classic hero and stuff like that, the hero's journey and everything.
Anti-heroes are so much more interesting, though.
But I will say I do love an anti-hero every once in a while. I love that story. Walter White is one of my favorites. I mean, that's a super classic example.
Tony Soprano for me.
Tony Soprano,
big time.
But I get what you're saying where it's characters who make the more selfish choice are sometimes characters that we can relate to more.
Exactly. If a character is completely flawless, there's truly nothing relatable about them, which is maybe why I've always been drawn to anti-heroes or non-traditional heroes. No, definitely the same.
Yeah, I gotta say though, I don't know how relatable this first character is. I don't want to meet anyone who can relate to him.
I would pray I never meet anyone even remotely like him.
No, yeah. So our first movie is Stanley Kubrick's iconic film, A Clockwork Orange. Olivia is beaming right now.
So
because
excited.
She's so happy.
It's our first Kubrick, and this was also the first Kubrick that I ever watched.
You need to go to therapy. So the movie was made in 1971. It's classified under a crime genre.
I would maybe say it's more dystopian.
I would agree with you. Directed by Stanley Kubrick, written by Stanley Kubrick and Anthony Burgess, who wrote the book.
Yes.
Yeah. And it premiered as a wide release in December of 1971. So this is a very old movie. Mm-hmm. It was distributed by Warner Brothers, and the film initially received an X rating in the US, and this was later remedied to an R rating. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, understandable. Actually, we talked about how the graphic nature of this movie is, I would say, kind of debated.
We're looking at it from today's perspective, where it's like, you know, we love stuff like Game of Thrones.
Totally.
And,
yes.
You know, even like something like The Walking Dead was like absolutely brutal violence. Mm-hmm. That this film is, even in my memory, because it had been a long time since I had watched it, I remembered it as being a lot more graphic than it actually was. It's surprisingly a lot more is implied than shown. Not to dismiss anyone who thinks the film is upsetting. It's like a deeply upsetting movie.
I find this movie very disturbing.
It is. It's a super disturbing film. But at the time, like looking at it in the context of that this was the early 70s and we're coming out of the 60s, like we're coming right out of the Hays Code.
Right.
This must have been so shocking.
It's so funny. Like, this conversation just reminded me, in my notes when I was watching this movie, I was like, I will say this was a huge turning point for film. Mm-hmm. Violence just wasn't shown in that way. Like, movies weren't meant to disturb you back then. Mm-hmm. They were meant to be like an escape from reality, enjoyable, pleasant. You leave with a smile on your face, mm-hmm. or like tears running down your, face from like joy or like whatever emotion. But no movie was meant to leave you so unsettled. So this really was just such a shift. And I think that's partially why Stanley Kubrick is just, I mean, yes, he's an auteur and stuff like that, but I think that has like also solidified his legacy in filmmaking, is like he was really one of the pioneers in this shift in filmmaking.
So the film takes place in this kind of retro futurist version of Britain, very much a 1960s perspective on what the future would look like. Mm-hmm. The film is narrated by Alex, who is played by Malcolm McDowell, and he is the leader of a gang of violent teenagers who are named Georgie, Dim, and Pete. Love the names.
Yeah, this, along with it being in this like retro futuristic dystopian kind of world, there's all these like weird little isms mm-hmm. in this world. Like, they wear these stupid little uniforms like the gang does. They're in like these little tidy whities with
cod pieces. Yeah, they're literally walking around wearing cod pieces.
Yeah, Alex wears like a fake eyelash mm-hmm. underneath his eye.
I did it for Halloween one year. It's
such an iconic, I mean, the movie opens on Alex's face, and that's like one of the most iconic shots in all of film. So it is kind of like, also this is such a stylish movie, which we'll get into later.
So heavily stylized. Everything is. It's really, there is no basis for a lot of it in a reality that we know. Mm-hmm. Even the language that they speak, they all speak in this dialect that's called Nadsat, where it's basically slang that's composed of Slavic, English, and Cockney slang, but they're words that are made up. Right. They're made up words.
Yeah.
And in the book, which I have also read the book and quite good, it's follows the film relatively closely, obviously, until the 21st chapter, infamously, which we'll talk about later. But in the book, there's actually a dictionary in the back of it that tells you like what everything means.
Oh, I love that.
It's a lot of fun. Like you read and you kind of like are always going back and forth. Be like, okay, actually, what are they saying though?
Yeah, so it's just fun. Like the nicknames they have and mm-hmm. like this gang that we follow is just very interesting. So we follow the gang as they engage in their like typical night of ultra violence. This includes beating a homeless man and fighting a rival gang. I
do like that there is a rival costumed gang of
I was just going to say that. I was like, the rival gang, which also wears their own little uniforms.
They do. Then they
all
have
their own name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did like that. It was like, oh my God, it's like the Warriors.
Yeah. Another thing they do on this evening of ultraviolence is break into the house of a writer. His name is Frank Alexander. They break into his home, sexually assault his wife, and beat him to the point of crippling him.
Yeah, it's that scene is also like, I feel like pretty iconic. Where
that's a scene that I've seen before.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's probably like the beginning of this film is the part of the film that most people think about.
Yeah, I had never seen this movie before. It was a first watch for me, but I had seen like a lot of bits and pieces just kind of like over time. And I said to you, I was like, I was misled because I thought like the majority of the movie was them going on these nights of ultraviolence. And it's not. That's like just a very small snippet of it.
Yeah, which obviously it's probably like, oh, I get why this is so controversial.
Yeah.
Because these opening scenes are incredibly violent and disturbing. The scene where he's like singing in the rain while he like beats up Frank Alexander and they're like about to assault his wife in front of him. Like it's very disturbing.
This is like why that's like a big problem I have with the movie. I personally found the movie very like hard to watch at times. And that's like, it's also a problem I have with Kubrick a little bit. Like, I said to you, I was like, I know the point is to disturb me and I can appreciate it and I can respect that it does get that reaction out of me. But like, there's just something in my brain that tells me like when I see a woman like being like assaulted in a very like realistic and graphic nature and like
and
being
just to
beaten,
be clear, the film doesn't show the assault.
No,
it shows what leads up to the assault before cutting away.
Yes, like it's just a line that I have like it just leaves such a sour taste in my mouth. It kind of makes me like feel complicit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the point.
I know, but it's just like I can't find myself wanting to watch that ever again.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know. I was so surprised going back to it. Like I said earlier, in my memory, it was a lot more graphic than it actually was.
Yeah.
And I was quite impressed with how disturbing it remained while actually cutting away a lot of the time before the real violence happens.
Yeah.
Or there's a shot later that we'll talk about where there's a very clever shot of a painting that's shown instead of what's happening on screen that completely underscores the horror of what's happening without showing it.
Yeah, again, lots of style.
Lots of style.
The next day, Alex's probation officer, PR Deltoid, interesting name, shows up at his parents' apartment and cautions Alex about missing school and basically threatens him with the possibility of jail time. This is a very weird scene.
I always thought in this scene that there is some heavy implication that Deltoid has abused Alex in the past.
I would say you're not alone in that. I thought the same, actually.
It was from the way that he comes in and like Alex is like, he just got out of bed. He's like not wearing clothes. He comes in, sits on the bed and like is touching him.
Oh,
like
he fully grabs his privates.
Yeah. And it was kind of in a threatening / playful way, but like he felt very comfortable doing that.
Yeah. And I don't want to like get too far off the plot, but like that's another thing with this movie that like I don't like, are we supposed to feel bad for Alex because he's a horrible person?
Well, that's what's interesting about it is at the beginning he is maybe the least sympathetic main character of a film. He is a violent, horrible rapist and revels in it. Like he enjoys violence.
He gets off on the violence.
But then as the film goes on and what happens to Alex, where he becomes a victim of a system that's so much larger than him, you kind of can't help but start to feel bad for him because he loses all semblance of who he is. That's like the core moral quandary of the film.
Yeah, but then there's that ending. Oh, we're skipping.
We're getting too ahead of ourselves. Sorry.
Back to the plot. Back to the plot.
Okay, so Alex's droogs, which are what the gang members are called, are becoming kind of discontented under his leadership. They feel like he bullies them, which he does.
Yes. Yeah, he does.
Especially Dim, who's like the dumb one.
Yeah, he's like a big oaf.
Yes, that's actually perfect. And they all kind of have been talking behind Alex's back, and they tell him that he's been taking more of his fair share from the spoils of their robberies. And one of them suggests that they rob this rich lady who lives in a farm out in the country, that like they've heard that she's really rich and has all this money squirreled away.
And she's alone, so. So they drive out to this farm. Alex sneaks into the woman's home while the other droogs wait outside. She sees him and they actually fight. This woman was killing me. She didn't care at all. Like, she was not backing down from this stranger in her home. So she defends herself with a bust of Beethoven. But before she can like fight him off, Alex actually bludgeons her with this huge plastic phallus sculpture that she has. Lots of this room itself is full of nude artwork and
all very
phallic structures.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is interesting, I guess, for a film that's so much about the connection between sexuality and violence, and also how Alex's sexuality is so linked to violence in his mind. It's super interesting. Also, I enjoy that she's fending him off with a bust of Beethoven.
Yes.
Because Alex, throughout the film, talks a lot about how much he loves Beethoven. Like, Beethoven's music transports him. Kind of aside from beating and raping, that's like the other thing that he likes. It's just super interesting that he's being fought off with this bust of Beethoven's head and is fighting back with a phallus. And is that not like maybe the battle between something that is like mindful and cultured about him versus the thing that drives him?
Yes. That's a good point.
See, you may like this
I was
movie
gonna
yet.
say, you're making me enjoy this movie more than I but the bar's pretty low right now, so we can only go up. So the woman actually calls the police before Alex breaks into the home. So the police are on their way. Alex tries to flee with his gang. However, Dim smashes a bottle in his face and leaves him to be arrested.
Yeah, and Alex, like, that woman is dead.
Yes, he's accidentally killed her.
Like, he didn't really mean to kill her, but
no,
he looks pretty shocked
Yeah.
when, like, he hits her and she's down.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, the Droogs they've set him up, essentially. Like, they set this whole thing up. Like, they knew they were going to leave when the police came.
I mean, the second that they were like sneaking into the house and Alex was the only one who went in, I was like, yeah, something's up.
Yeah.
So the woman is dead from her injuries and Alex is therefore sentenced to 14 years in prison for murder.
Yes. So we catch up with him 2 years into his sentence. Alex has accepted an offer to be a test subject for this new experimental aversion therapy that claims to rehabilitate violent criminals in under 2 weeks. And it's called the Ludovico technique. And he just basically sees a way to get out of prison.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he does not want to be rehabilitated at all. He literally just wants the quickest way out so he can go back to this life of like debauchery.
Yes.
So he gets approval, and keep in mind, like, this is very controversial, this treatment. Like, it's been tested in a few prisons, but not this one yet. And it's a big deal with like the prime minister and everything. So it's very new is what I'm trying to say.
And it's getting like a lot of media attention. It's a hot topic at the moment.
Totally. So on his first day of treatment, Alex is brought to an auditorium and strapped to a chair with his eyes clamped open. And this is where the movie got really hard for me to watch.
This is when, with the eyes?
Yeah, I mean, the movie was like disturbing before, but like when they were putting it in his eyes, I literally had to go like this because I couldn't watch it on the screen.
I do have to say, I think I was like 14 or 15 when I first saw this movie, I watched it because I saw that image of Alex with his eyes like open. And then I looked up the movie and it's like, oh, it was controversial. And I'm like, oh, I'll watch it tonight. Like, that was the image that made me want to watch the movie. And because it's really upsetting.
No, it is.
Like, and Malcolm McDowell actually did it. And famously, they scratched his cornea. And, like, he's had eye problems since then for the rest of his life.
Yeah, that's another thing I have with Kubrick is, like, his sets are notorious for being, like, psychological torture for most of his actors. And it's kind of like, it's just something I always have in the back of my mind, like watching his movies.
Oh no, he's no doubt like an absolutely horrible person to work for, but like
Right.
I enjoy the fruits of everyone's labor.
You're like, thank you for your efforts. I'm
you.
really enjoying your pain.
I'm loving probably the 81st take of this scene that you
Right.
did. Like
You were sleep deprived. You'd been screamed at for like the majority of the day, but the take was great. So it's okay.
So, as we said, strapped to a chair with his eyes held open. It's absolutely horrible to look at. They also inject him with a drug and force him to watch explicit films. And like he literally can't close his eyes.
Yeah. And the drug is kind of giving like a Pavlovian type of like reaction where it like causes him to feel violently ill. So like it's turning him against like the images he's seeing. So following the screening, the doctor assures Alex that this feeling of sickness is a sign that he's actually getting better. They're like, no, our natural reaction to seeing stuff like that is to be like afraid and sick. So it just means your body's like becoming normal. Because obviously he's like, yeah, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
That sucked. But he continues.
He does continue. So we then cut to 2 weeks later. So presumably after 12 more treatments. Alex is brought before a group of dignitaries in this like auditorium to demonstrate his rehabilitation. They bring out an actor who taunts and attacks him, and Alex is physically unable to fight back, so he just has to take the beating. They also bring out a topless woman who he becomes like sick when he sees her.
Yeah, he goes to touch her and his body like physically recoils.
Yeah.
This was another scene that was like hard to watch, specifically because Malcolm McDowell, that's his name, right? He does such a good job. Like he's like gagging and he is like rolling on the floor like in pain, and it's hard not to like cringe when you watch it.
No, 100%. And honestly, I get it. Like the film was controversial when it came out. The fact that Malcolm McDowell got no like formal acknowledgement, like in the form of any sort of award for this role, is frankly insane.
Yeah, he's scary.
He's scary. He's so committed in every scene. And like, I just don't think that many actors could pull off this type of role and still infuse it with a level of charisma.
So the prison chaplain notes that Alex has been completely robbed of his free will. He's like, you didn't cure him. Like, he has no choice in the matter. He's not a better person because of it. The minister asserts that the result is the only thing that matters. So it doesn't matter how we got here. The point is he's not a violent man anymore. And the Ludovico technique will reduce crime and alleviate crowding in prison. So they're like, yay, we were successful, even though he's like not even a person.
He's like convulsing like, as they're speaking.
Yeah.
So Alex is released from prison and he returns home to find that all of his possessions have been sold to provide compensation to his victims, which like that was funny.
Yeah.
Like seeing him
that
when
was
they tell him
great.
that was great. And his parents have started renting out his room. Also a great scene when he comes home and there's just like a guy there.
The homeless man whom Alex attacked years earlier actually spots him on the street and beats him up.
And Alex can't fight back.
Yeah. So he's getting like basically jumped by all these homeless men and is saved by two policemen who we actually see are two former members of his gang, Dim and Georgie. And they are like ecstatic to see him because they're like, oh yeah,
like we hate you.
We hate you. And also like, we're policemen and you can't fight back. So there's nothing you can do about this. Like, we can do whatever we want with you.
Which also, like, I'm so sorry. The like violent criminal to becoming a cop that abuses their power
I thought
is like
that too. I was like, it's so crazy how they were able to become policemen.
No, but it's so, I mean, like half of those people are just like, and not to like make generalizations about like all policemen or all like prison guards or something. I would say it's definitely an occupation that maybe a lot of people who really enjoy power gravitate towards.
Oh, 150%, Olivia. And
I loved the detail when you see that, oh my God, it's them. It's
Yeah.
like, of course it's them.
yeah, great little like commentary.
But yeah, they also beat him up.
They nearly kill him.
They try to like drown him.
Yeah. And so Alex, beaten up and really with nowhere to go, stumbles and like collapses in front of a random house that is random to him, but we actually
recognize it from a little earlier in the film.
Yes.
Because it is the house of the writer Frank Alexander that they beat up and assaulted his wife.
Yeah.
Frank is now in a wheelchair, we can presume, because of what they did to him.
And his wife is no longer there.
Yeah.
She has died from, I think they said pneumonia, but Frank is convinced it's like the shock from the attack, like basically sent her into this like health spiral.
Yeah. Which, yeah, probably.
Yeah. So Alex wakes up in the home. And at first, Frank doesn't recognize Alex from the attack, but knows him from like this new controversial technique.
Yeah, like he's read his name in the newspaper, but also they were all wearing masks.
Yes, that's important to know. So he didn't actually see his face during the attack.
Mm-hmm. So Frank is like a staunch believer that the treatment is inhumane, and he's like actively speaking out about it in like a political sense. So he sees the opportunity to use Alex as an example of how this treatment is inhumane, given that Alex was beaten and wasn't able to fight back. And so he's going to prepare to like invite his colleagues over and use Alex as a political weapon.
Frank is like, oh, go take a bath and go like, you know, relax, and you've had a tough life. So Alex is in the bath and does the one thing he shouldn't do.
This was the part where I'm like, are you so stupid?
No, literally.
Are you so stupid, like, for doing this? Because if you didn't, you'd be fine.
You'd be fine. Yeah. So he starts singing in the Rain, which was the same song he was singing when he attacked Frank's home. Frank then like almost has like a traumatic flashback.
Oh, he has like a full
yeah, he like
sees
flashback. Yeah. He now realizes who Alex is.
And then that night at dinner, he puts drugs in Alex's wine and locks him in a bedroom.
Yes, Alex reveals to him that along with like not being able to fight back or like really like attack women, I guess is the best way to say it, he can't stand to listen to Beethoven anymore.
Yes, that is also because they play Beethoven as the films are playing.
Yes.
So that's another thing that was like horrible for him, is he can no longer enjoy his favorite music without getting violently ill.
Yes.
And he, mistakenly reveals this to Frank.
Yeah, so when he's locked in the bedroom, Frank then plays Beethoven's Ninth Symphony like blaringly from the floor below. And this was another scene that was like crazy hard to watch for me. I mean, Alex is like, again, gagging, like
convulsing.
It's awful. And he finally can't stand it. So he attempts suicide by jumping out of the window. So he's unsuccessful in his suicide. He wakes up in a hospital with multiple injuries. And during the psychological tests that the doctors provide, he finds that he no longer has like such strong aversions to violence or sex.
Yeah, like whenever he like hit his head or something, it undid the Pavlovian responses that he had.
Yeah. So the minister arrives and apologizes to Alex. He says that the government has had Frank institutionalized, and he offers to get Alex a job in return for like kind of like being a poster child for his campaign, basically. Mm-hmm. And the minister brings in a stereo and starts playing Beethoven's Ninth Symphony,
which he can finally enjoy.
Yes. And Alex, while listening to this, has this sexual fantasy where he is having intercourse with a woman while these people watch. And clap.
I thought, it's like and everyone's celebrating around.
Yes, and they're all like wearing masks. It's a very 60s.
It's very Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so through the narration, the film ends with Alex thrilled, and he exclaims, "I was cured all right." And so it's kind of like, oh, we're right back where we started.
How fucking great is that? It's this
I actually liked the ending a lot. That was probably my favorite part.
The ending is so good, and it's I have something to say about it too.
Please.
But it's like, I love how the film manipulates you into almost being happy that a violent rapist is now allowed to be violent and rape again. Like, because you feel such, at least I felt such a sense of injustice watching his free will get taken away from him. And it is the question of, like, should someone still be allowed to have free will even if they will abuse it and they will harm others? Should they still have it? Yes.
I had a bit of a different take on the ending. I like your take a lot where, and I agree with it. Like, I do think that's what the movie was trying to do. I like the ending of the movie a lot because it gives me that same feeling in, like, when you watch a horror movie.
Yes.
And, like, the killer gets away at the end, where you're, and again, this is very, like, in theme with antiheroes where you love to hate them. So sometimes seeing the bad guy win is kind of like, ooh, I just got goosebumps. And
there's definitely a big sense of that.
Yes, just because I didn't find myself sympathizing with Alex as much as you did, or I think, like, other audience viewers might. So I don't feel that, like,
it's not, again, it's not specifically about his character. It's about the kind of anger that you feel when you see that someone doesn't have free will.
Yeah.
And it's like, but is it better if he does? Because then people get hurt.
I also like that the ending kind of leaves it with this whole, like, oh no, you can't cure evil. Like, that's born in you, baby. And I like that Alex is like, oh, I was cured. Now I'm me again. And it's like, I'm this violent, you know, offender to society.
But what is so interesting about the ending is Anthony Burgess, who wrote the book has 21 chapters. The film only adapted the first 20. So, and it's a little...
The lost ending.
Yeah, it's a little infamous. So in the 21st chapter, it shows that Alex grows out of his violent tendencies one day and aspires to, like, lead a normal life with a wife and child and just, like, hopes that his own son doesn't turn out to be like him. Of the 21st chapter, Anthony Burgess was furious that Kubrick decided to omit it. Of the 21st chapter, Anthony Burgess says, it gives the novel a quality of genuine fiction, an art founded on the principle that human beings are capable of change. There is, in fact, not much point in writing a novel unless you can show the possibility of moral transformation or an increase in wisdom. I think that Burgess's original ending kind of neuters his own point.
I would agree with you on that.
Kubrick forces, like, ends on that, like, deeply uncomfortable note of, like, should we be happy?
Yeah.
And that is the central question of the film is which is better. I don't know. I think that including the 21st chapter would have absolutely ruined the film. Anthony Burgess was also like, and I also think the film is too graphic. Dude, do you know what you wrote?
Right.
Like,
it's your book, bro.
It's fully your book.
Yeah.
Also, there's, like, a scene in the film, and it's kind of played for laughs, where Alex, like, brings home 2 women.
Oh yeah,
which it's a funny scene.
Yeah, especially the way that they show it and, like, the sped up with the music. It's very cartoonish.
Very cartoonish. In the book, they were 2 very young girls that he drugs and brings back to his place. So it's like, if anything, the film didn't go quite as dark as the novel went.
I'm really happy the movie didn't do that, because probably would maybe turn it off.
Honestly, no, but yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a level of uncomfortability that audience members are okay with, and that probably would have gone over the line.
Yeah.
For, like, the average viewer.
Totally.
So, yeah, and there, I guess I get it. There is a difference between reading something and seeing it. Like, there just is.
Totally.
Like, I can definitely read about something more horrific than I would be willing to watch.
I can stomach it more.
Yes.
Yeah.
But still, dude, like, too graphic? He didn't even get as, like, dark as you got.
Yeah. I think I would give this movie, well, I know I gave this movie. I originally gave this movie a 3.5 out of 10.
That's frankly insane. So is this rating just based in your enjoyment of it?
Based on my enjoyment of it, but after discussing it with you, I think I'll bump it up to a 5 out of 10 because I realized again, like the first time, like when I sat and watched it, I was just like, oh, that was like really disturbing. And like, it's also longer than I thought it was.
It is long.
So there were points where I was like, it's a little slow. Just me personally. I know you're mad by me saying that.
We're not even gonna get into it until we get to Taxi Driver. That's when I'm really gonna fight you on this.
Okay, that's fine. But now talking, even like when we were talking off camera, I said I was like, I can respect that movie wants you to be disturbed. It wants you to be unsettled. It wants to leave a sour taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
And again, just us talking earlier about like what a shift it was in filmmaking. I think I can respect it a lot more. Again. It's not a movie for me. I don't really find myself watching it again, at least in the near future. I think maybe I will turn back to it at some point. Yeah. I actually am curious to read the book.
The book is good.
Yeah, I think maybe I do that and then see the movie again just to compare them. But I definitely have more appreciation for it. And I think that's like, again, why this movie is left to be so debated because you can get a lot out of discussing it.
Oh, 100%.
So yeah, a 5 out of 10 for me.
Fair enough. I'll go like 9.5.
I knew yours was going to be like close to a 10.
Yeah, it's not quite a 10 out of 10 for me just because like there are so many other films that I genuinely enjoy watching more, but almost like as a piece of art, it's kind of perfect. Like in its intentions. I'm not saying it's enjoyable or that everyone has to like have a fun time while they watch it. If anything, it's like you're kind of not supposed to.
No, I'd be scared of you if you had a fun time watching this movie.
I don't know, like the incels or whatever probably love it.
Yeah, maybe that's a reason why I'm kind of turned off from this movie too.
It is kind of lumped into the like American Psycho,
like Wolf of Wall Street,
like incel love this film
bro who like likes it for all the wrong reasons. Yeah, I think that actually, now that I've said it out loud, that's probably a huge reason why I was so against enjoying this movie.
I get it.
Because like I instinctively with movies like that can't enjoy them because I just hate the following that it's had for the majority.
100%.
So I think I actually will watch this movie again with a more unbiased opinion.
That's so fair. I mean, I don't know. I think it's so great. I think it's so visually strong. I mean,
that's true.
There are very, very few films that I've seen one visual from and immediately want to watch. And that's really just throughout the film. You could pause at most moments and it's like
a painting.
Yeah, like it's a pretty amazingly designed and amazingly shot film. I think Malcolm McDowell's performance is like a performance for the ages. I think it's a great movie. And yeah, like I understand why it sits so high in kind of the filmy space of why it's so lauded.
All
I get
Kubrick movies do.
Yeah. And this is probably one of my favorite Kubrick movies. It's a really good one, and I do really like it, and I like how weird and dark and horrible it is. And it was the first real weird, dark, horrible film that I saw.
Yeah.
And it left such an impression on me that I can't not give it a high rating. It's just probably not a 10 for me personally, but it's a 9.5. It's close. So our next film is a little newer. It's from 2014, and it is Nightcrawler, directed by Dan Gilroy and also written by Dan Gilroy. And I believe this was his directorial debut.
I was going to say, I don't think I've seen another project from him. I didn't recognize his name before this movie.
Me neither. And what an impressive debut.
I really enjoy this movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where like, when it was coming out, I feel like I was just kind of like, oh, I guess I'll see this movie. And then I was like, whoa, that actually kind of rocked.
We both saw it in theaters, I think,
yes,
around the time it came out.
Yep.
Love this film. It's so good. It's just such a solid film.
Yeah, it's fast paced. Like it doesn't feel slow. I mean, it's not that long.
Oh, it's like an hour 40.
Yeah, I would say just under 2 hours maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's got great pacing and it's very like adrenaline building, just like the nature of the movie.
100%.
I think everyone's well cast and it's not like okay, I feel like a dummy saying this because I'm like, it's not a hard to understand movie, but like it's not super complex. It's just like, I feel like kind of like what you said last week with Parasite, where it's like you don't have to be like a filmy artsy person. Like I could totally see people not wanting to watch Clockwork Orange because it's super like filmy and artsy and like complex, and again leaves a lot to be debated afterwards. But this movie, like, you could see this movie with your whole family, which I did, and my whole family really liked it. It's just like good for people who like thrillers.
Yeah, no, there are definitely some kind of like indie artsy elements to it, but it's a movie that most people, I think, would definitely enjoy. It premiered at the 2014 Cannes Film Festival and was picked up for distribution by Open Road Films, and they had a bidding war with A24 for this film.
Wow.
Right? And it was released in theaters as a wide release on October 2014. My only thing is maybe A24 should have done it because maybe they would have actually petitioned for Jake Gyllenhaal to get an Oscar nomination, which he didn't, and I'm still mad about it.
He is so good in this movie. I said last week with Leonardo DiCaprio, I was like, I like him in these like comedic roles. I like Jake Gyllenhaal when he's playing a weirdo.
Yes. Jake Gyllenhaal, stop doing action movies.
Stop doing rom-coms. Stop.
This is your niche. This is where you're really good.
I don't want to see you in an ambulance, in a fire truck. I don't want to see you in any of that unless you are a weirdo.
Yes, thank you.
Like Prisoners. Oh, such a good movie.
Good. Enemy.
Yeah.
So good. Jake Gyllenhaal, come on. We miss you.
I just watched Zodiac earlier this week, and like literally I was like, he is so good in this. And he's a freak in that movie too.
Yeah, stop hanging out with Michael Bay, dude. He's not doing any favors for you.
No, please. Just stick to what you're good at. So the movie revolves around a petty thief, and his name is Lou Bloom. That is Jake Gyllenhaal's character.
Well, he starts as we meet him and he's a petty thief.
Yes. The film opens and he is caught stealing scrap metal from a rail yard in Los Angeles by a random security guard. And he attacks the guard and subdues him, steals his watch, and leaves with the stolen materials. And I love how this is how we open the film.
Yes.
He's trying to sell the stolen scrap metal at a like random scrap yard.
Yeah, like he basically stole this metal, goes to a different scrap yard and tries to sell it.
Yes. And while he's there, Lou asks for a job, but the foreman refuses to hire somebody who he assumes is a thief. And he's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so funny. Like he tries to like scam these people. Like I think he thinks of himself as like a really well-spoken, like master manipulator, and the foreman is like, I'm not hiring you, you're a thief. Like he sees right through it. And something that
and I love his constant like motivational speeches about like entrepreneurship and like drive.
That's
and
what
going
I mean.
After what you want.
I think he thinks he's almost like a Jordan Belfort type
no
character.
He does.
But something I was going to say is like, and I'll get into it more when we meet more characters in this movie, but like the thing that unsettles me the most in this movie is like he does this shtick on everyone, and it's only when he meets people who are more desperate than him does it work.
Yes.
And he fully just takes advantage of those people. Yeah, it's just so, oh my God, like gives you goosebumps almost.
So while driving home from the scrapyard, Lou sees a car crash and pulls over. He watches as vans of these people called stringers, who are freelance photojournalists, pull over and start recording the two police officers pulling an injured woman from the car wreck. And one of the stringers, Joe, starts talking to Lou. Well, Lou approaches him and is like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And he explains that they all make money by selling this footage to local news stations.
Yes.
You can see the light bulb.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's a light bulb. You can see his eyes, like, widen. So, yeah, Lou is inspired by this. He steals an expensive bicycle and then pawns it in exchange for a camcorder and a police radio scanner. We see him trial and error a few times to record some footage. It takes him a little while to understand how to do it and the types of crimes that he can film and sell to the media.
Yeah, he quickly learns like certain stories obviously gain more traction and therefore have a higher price than like random petty crimes. Keep in mind, we're in Los Angeles, which I have to say really quick, I said LA is the perfect setting for this movie.
It is so perfect. And they really, like, this is an LA movie.
Yes. LA almost feels like a character within itself. The environment is so, I love when movies do that, when like the environment around them is like so integral, not only to the story, but like to the characters.
Yes.
Yeah. So Dan Gilroy does a great job with that.
So Lou is able to record the aftermath of a fatal carjacking and sell the footage to a station called KWLA6. The morning news director, Nina Romina, who is played by Renee Russo, who's great in this.
I didn't realize that was Renee Russo.
I know.
I can't believe I didn't know that. She is great.
She's so perfect for this.
Yeah.
And Nina tells him that the station is especially interested in footage of graphic incidents and violent crime in affluent areas. Lou hires an assistant, Rick, who is a young homeless man who's just desperate for money and will kind of do anything.
Yeah, it's so sad because Rick is so desperate for a job and he's clearly like not super bright. And like,
and Lou zeroes in.
Oh, he clocks in immediately.
And like knows that, okay, this is someone that I can manipulate to do what I want.
So to give his news footage more impact, Lou begins to tamper with the crime scenes. So in one case, he moves a body to get a better camera angle.
Loves that.
Like, it's just so crazy. We're so early on in the movie and he's already doing such fucked up shit. You're like, oh, this is, I wrote, I was like, this is just not going to end well.
No, he really has, I think, even definitely less than Travis from Taxi Driver, maybe even less than Alex, who just like has this like childlike glee at violence. Lou is cold and calculated and like devoid of personhood almost.
That's what I was saying earlier when you were like, oh, sympathy for the antiheroes. I was like, there's at least one I don't feel, and it's Lou. I feel no sympathy for this guy because he is,
you know what, you're actually right. I did not feel sympathy for Lou at any point.
No, especially because, again, he's such a leech. He just fully sucks off of the people that he knows he can take advantage of. This tampering works. Lou's work begins to gain traction, and as his work gains traction, he buys better equipment and he also buys a new car so he can get to the crime scenes faster.
Him and Nina, who's the director for KWA6, where he sold his first footage, they've kind of continued a business relationship. He almost exclusively sells footage to her, and she is clearly very happy that this skilled guy, this like skilled, what are they called? Stringer, yeah, has like chosen her as the person who he sells to, and has become quite reliant on his footage. He threatens to end his business relationship with her unless she sleeps with him. And he promises that he'll continue to bring her graphic and sensational footage. She agrees.
I wrote, I was like, I'd be so terrified if I were her. This scene is like
so scary.
It's so scary. It's so hard to watch. I mean, Nina's face when she's like, are you saying like you want me to like sleep with you, or else you're threatening me with like, you're threatening to cut me off? And the way he spends it, he's like, well, that would be your choice. Like, no, it's your choice if you want to sleep with me. I'm just saying like blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh God, like, and again, Nina's desperate. Like he tells her, he's like, I know that your news station is like pretty low on the charts. I know that you've never been at a company longer than 2 years, and like your 2 years is coming up and your performance review is coming up. So she is like, oh, he has all of her.
He has all his cards.
Yes,
like
exactly. Thank you for finishing my thought because I was really struggling. So the next day, he turns down a business offer from the stringer, Joe, who he like originally kind of was like, oh, hey, what are you guys doing? And originally did ask him like, are you hiring? And Joe was like, fuck off.
Yeah, Joe's kind of like, he's a more experienced, he has a team working for him.
He has like his own company. So Joe offers him a job and Lou turns it down. So Joe the next day kind of beats Lou to this like really big plane crash site and gets the footage before him. Nina is furious with Lou because she just slept with him and he promised to get her good stories. And then he literally comes the next day and is like, hey, you know that big plane crash? I actually didn't get it. So I'd be mad if I were her too.
Yeah.
Nina tells Lou that the network needs footage that the viewers can't turn away from. So then Lou, in a violent act of anger, sabotages Joe's van, causing him to crash into a telephone pole while chasing a story. And it leaves him, you can only assume, like, paralyzed at the very least. He is messed up.
Yeah, and Lou films it and sells the footage.
Rick is also, like, present with Lou at the majority of these like filming sites, I guess you could say. And Rick is like very disturbed by what he sees, not only from the accidents, but from Lou specifically.
Yes, and Lou's always providing this like rationale to Rick that Rick is like kind of, as time goes on, buying less and less.
Yeah, so when Joe crashes his van and they stumble upon it, but Rick is like, come on, man, you shouldn't film that. Like, he's one of us. And Lou goes, I wrote it down in my notes. Lou goes, he's not one of us anymore. He's a sale. And I was like, oh, you're cold, man.
Yeah. So later, Lou and Rick follow a tip on their police radio, and they actually manage to arrive at the site of a triple home invasion in Granada Hills, which is a very affluent area, before the police.
Yes, and it's a triple homicide, I believe.
Yes.
So everyone's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very unsettling scene.
So Lou actually gets there as the gunmen are pulling away from the house, and he records them leaving. And then he walks through the house and films footage of the victims, like very kind of graphic, sensationalized footage.
Very graphic.
Of their bodies.
Yeah.
And just completely devoid of any emotion, anything. And then he goes on to sell the footage to KWLA with his shot of the perpetrators and their license plate edited out. And in exchange, he demands to be credited publicly and to have a higher commission. Obviously, because this is like crazy exclusive footage, Nina does grant him that.
Something funny I had to note, his company that he's created is called Video Production News.
So boring.
Maybe think of a different name. If I looked up video production news into Google, do you know how many search results I would get? Like, buddy.
Yeah.
Clearly your entrepreneur lifestyle is just not catching up in that way. So the next day, a detective shows up at Lou's apartment to question him about his connection to the home invasion, because now the news team has credited him in their broadcast when they were showing this graphic footage.
And the police are like, wait a second. How the hell did you get this footage?
Yeah. Also, like, that's an active crime scene. Mm-hmm. He gives her a copy of the edited footage, again, without the faces of the gunmen, because he's saving that in his back pocket.
Yes. So Lou believes that these gunmen are going to strike again. And now that he has their information, him and Rick track one of them down and stake out his house. And they stay there until he leaves to meet up with his partner, the other gunman. Lou plans to follow them to a more crowded public area and then call the police to record their confrontation. Rick is like really not okay with any of this.
No, he's not only terrified for his life, which I would be too, but he's also like seen Lou in so many situations where like he's just so disturbed by him at this point. And he also kind of knows that Lou is like full of shit now. Yeah.
Rick demands to receive half of the reward money for locating the gunmen, and also threatens to tell the police that Lou withheld evidence. And they have some back and forth, and then Lou agrees to his terms.
I mean, so justified in wanting that.
So the gunmen stop at like a fast food restaurant, and Lou calls the police and warns them that the suspects are armed, and they have seen them putting guns into their belts, I think, or like into their pants.
Okay, I thought he hadn't, and he just lied so that like the police would come in with like their with like more hostility.
Oh no, I think there was a thing where he clocked one of them had.
I probably was in the bathroom.
The cops arrive and they have a shootout with the criminals, which Lou films the entirety of from his car across the street. In the struggle, a police officer is shot and one of the killers is gunned down while the other manages to escape in the car that they arrived in.
The police give chase with Lou and Rick following super close behind, like at a very unsafe distance. It ends in a long multiple car collision.
Yeah.
This is such a great climax. I mean, my heartbeat was accelerating like crazy.
So the gunman's car crashes and Lou approaches the vehicle and like shouts over to Rick, who's still in their car, that, oh, the gunman's dead. Can you come out here with the camera and film this? And as Rick approaches the gunman, it's revealed that he is alive. He shoots Rick and then flees and is killed by arriving police officers. As Rick is lying on the ground, bleeding and dying, Lou films him.
Oh, Rick.
And this part was just, I mean, you knew it was coming.
Yeah, you did.
You knew it was coming, but it's
did.
still just horrible.
So Nina is thrilled by this chase footage and just like in awe of Lou. I mean, it is really great footage. Like,
oh, it's like the best footage you could possibly get.
Yeah. But I mean, it was completely choreographed by Lou.
Mm-hmm. The police try to confiscate Lou's footage as evidence, but Nina defends her right to air it, and the network puts it out immediately. I do just have to say, too, about this film, I really love the subtle critique of media audiences.
Olivia, you just took the words out of my mouth. I was like, this would be a really great time to talk about Nina's character. I completely agree with you. There's another character. I don't know if he's ever named. He's like kind of like Nina's producer, I can only assume.
Yeah.
And he kind of acts as like the voice of reason. First of all, he's like this, like whenever Lou presents like new footage that's like more and more like graphic, and Nina is like, oh my gosh, these ratings, like this is going to be great for us. We're going to go with it. He is kind of the voice of reason where he's like, this breaks all like journalism codes. This is so morally wrong. Like these are people's families. We can't show that. Families are watching this like when they're eating breakfast. And Nina is so like only obsessed with the numbers.
But that's the thing is like Lou wouldn't exist if people didn't want to watch that footage.
You're totally right.
That like,
or if there were people like Nina who like demanded more.
Exactly. I had in my notes, if we keep watching the wreckage, why shouldn't Lou keep filming it? Ooh. And I know, I was like proud of that. I was like, I'll definitely read that.
So the next day, Lou voluntarily speaks with the same detective who came to his door before. And while being interrogated, because like he was the witness to this like huge crime, Lou fabricates a story about the men from the home invasion following him, and he realizing like that the gunmen, oh, they're from the house and all this stuff. The police know he's lying.
Like it just doesn't add up.
No, not at all. But there's literally no evidence, so they have to let him go.
And like both the gunmen are dead, so they can't question them.
Right.
They
case
have
is
to
over.
take his word.
Yeah. We cut to weeks later, and Lou has expanded video production news and hired a team of interns.
This ending is just excellent.
He tells the interns he would never ask them to do anything he would be unwilling to do himself.
And then cut to black.
Oh my God, it's so good.
It's so great. This is like an 8 out of 10 for me.
That's my exact rating.
Yeah. I mean, it's so solid. So I do want to talk about Lou as an anti-hero versus Travis and Alex. I had here that, especially with Taxi Driver, which we'll talk about next, it just had me thinking a lot about masculinity. And then watching this film post Taxi Driver, it's so interesting how this kind of perfectly captures that new kind of masculinity that's very rooted in like entrepreneurship.
Totally. Oh my gosh, Olivia, you're so right.
And like the thing about Lou is that he is so competent. He is so good at this job. And like you can kind of assume he would be really good at most jobs you would give him.
He definitely sells himself that way.
And it's that thing of like the way that Travis and even Alex to an extent are shown as outcasts in a society. Lou is the embodiment of this kind of like cold corporatized American society. Like, if anything, he fits in too well.
It's so crazy because he says all the right things and
but there's something missing.
No, it's almost like he reads from a script that just plays in his mind over and over. And it's like, that's the scary thing about him, is because he's like, well, if I say this and if I do that, that's like the way to move forward. That's the way to get the job. That's the way to get what I want. And it's just so off-putting because you can tell there's nothing genuine about what he says. Like, he'll sell himself really good. And he's like, I believe the qualities of great work ethic or XYZ. And you're like, yeah, but buddy, do you even believe that? Because you are so like, you're dead behind the eyes. Him and Rick have a great scene where Rick is like, I don't know, man, I don't think you understand people. And then later on, Rick is like, what if it's not that I don't understand people, but I just don't like people?
I loved that.
And I loved that line. I got goosebumps because you're like, oh, that's the scariest part. Because it's like, it's not that you don't connect with people, like a person like Travis might not connect with people.
But Travis wants to connect with people and finds himself unable to. Lou doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to, and he knows, again, what to say to make it seem like he can. But yeah, great movie, great acting, great writing. Just like super solid all around.
All right, we're going back to the 70s.
Back to the 70s, specifically 1976 for the iconic Martin Scorsese film Taxi Driver. So the movie was directed by Martin Scorsese and written by Paul Schrader.
Yeah, who like was on a ton of drugs when he wrote this. And
I believe that.
He was like, yeah, like I'd like step away from the typewriter and put a gun to my head to see how it felt and then get back to writing. It's like, all right, dude.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Like maybe go to therapy. So it premiered as a wide release in February of 1976. It was distributed by Columbia Pictures, and it was the 17th highest grossing film in 1976, making upwards of $28 million on a $1.9 million budget. Whoa.
Right?
That's, for 1976 too, like $1.9 million is a fuck ton of money. So that's a huge, like, I didn't know that.
I think what drove a lot of people into the theaters was the very big controversy of the Jodie Foster character.
Understandable.
Which was very controversial at the time and continues to be so. She is, I think she was like 14 when she filmed it, and she plays a child prostitute.
She plays a 12-and-a-half-year-old. When they said her age,
horrible.
I actually like physically reacted.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they said she was 12 and a half, I was like, I might have to turn off this movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a line that like really, really upsets me. I didn't. I watched the rest of it, but yeah.
You had seen this before, right?
Twice. I watched it for the first time my freshman year of college because we had to watch it for a film class.
Same.
And then I had to watch it one more time, I think my senior year for my Q. So setting the scene, it is 1970s New York City. First of all, this movie screams the 1970s, like everything about it.
Yes. It is also in the way that Nightcrawler is an LA film, Taxi Driver is a New York film. It is baked into the concrete of New York. This movie is New York. New York is a character.
I was just going to say New York is a character. So we follow Vietnam War veteran Travis Bickle, and he is played by Robert De Niro. Travis takes a job as a night shift taxi driver to cope with his chronic insomnia.
Yes. And through voiceover narration, which Travis, similarly to Alex in A Clockwork Orange, Travis narrates the film intermittently. Through narration, we learn that Travis is lonely and depressed. He spends his days alone in his rundown apartment watching TV, and he frequently visits adult movie theaters on 42nd Street. He sends letters to his parents where he lies to them about the life he's leading, and he says he works for the Secret Service.
They do a great job showing, like we said, New York is such a character. They do a great job showing just like how New York is shown through Travis's POV.
Yes.
I am curious if anyone watching was around in the 1970s, specifically around New York in the 1970s. Because
talk to my mom.
Well, I was just gonna say,
she's from the Bronx.
My mom, when we were watching the movie and like there's all these like sex shops and all this stuff, my mom was like, yeah, when we went into the city, my parents would be like, just keep your heads down, just keep your heads down. So I'm curious to see like how accurate it is.
Oh, my mom says incredibly accurate. 86th Street, like Shake Shack.
Now
there's a Shake Shack and an Ulta. Apparently it used to be all like pimps, prostitutes, like
wild.
That was like a hub. Yeah, for that. She's like, no, you'd see them like in the coats and the hats. Like so while working as a taxi driver, Travis very quickly becomes like so disgusted by all of the crime and the decay that he witnesses around the city. And he really starts having these fantasies about getting the scum off the streets. Like the city streets need to be cleaned up. He talks about the streets needing to be cleaned up incessantly.
It's his favorite topic of conversation.
It's his thing and I think as he's seeing more of the city, he's becoming more and more disillusioned by it. He's also a racist.
Yes.
He's like this kind of greaseball, depressed loser. He hangs out in porn theaters.
Yeah, he's a degenerate.
Racist. Yeah, he's a degenerate. He really is. There's very little to like about him in the first half of the film.
Yeah, he also lives in this, I don't want to say in this false reality, but I said to you, I was like, he kind of fancies himself a vigilante of some sort. He believes,
and as the film goes on, he really starts to fancy himself a vigilante.
Yes, but he also like fantasizes a lot about different things. He becomes infatuated with a woman named Betsy. She was played by Sybil Shepherd, and Betsy is a campaign volunteer for a presidential candidate who is named Charles Palantine. He's a senator.
Yes. And Travis walks into the campaign office one day and asks her out. She agrees. My dad's biggest qualm with this film that he mentions if it's even brought up. Like if someone says taxi driver, he like will start arguing about this. That like, I don't understand why she would ever go on a date with him. Like, why would that woman ever go out with that guy? I get it.
Listen, the sleep-deprived greaseball man is a very popular taste.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste.
And it's very mainstream right now. Also, like, Betsy is, and Travis like kind of calls her out on it, Betsy's kind of lonely. Yeah. So when this guy walks in and asks her out on a date, she's like, okay. Like, yeah,
like she's probably flattered that someone is coming in with the intention of like someone saw her and now just wants to ask her out. Like that is flattering.
Yeah. So they get coffee the next day and they bond over this shared loneliness that they have. Betsy agrees to go on a second date with him. The date seems pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah, they seem to get along decently well. Like it's clearly like there's the awkwardness of the first date. There could be a little bit of like the, I'm so prim and proper. Like this guy is maybe a little exciting. He's like a nighttime cab driver. Like he's so New York.
Right, he's a little scruffy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I could see her being a little charmed by the fact that he is that guy.
Totally. It quickly blows up right in her face.
Terribly.
Though. So for their second date, Travis thinks it's a great idea to take Betsy to an adult movie theater.
This scene, out of every film that we watched this week, out of collectively all the scenes that I watched this week, this was the hardest scene for me to watch.
This is so cringy.
It is so painfully awkward. Like she's horrified. Travis is so like oblivious to why she's offended because like this is like one of the only places he goes.
It's his norm.
Yeah, and he's like, and couples are in here all the time. Like it's so painful, like him not understanding.
Yeah.
It's so, it just like makes my skin crawl.
It's awful. So she obviously leaves immediately and later he attempts to reconcile with her over the phone. But this fails.
This just continues that painful awkwardness. Even the camera pans away from Travis and looks down a hallway as Travis is on the phone. And Scorsese has said that it's because it's too painful to watch and hear.
It really is rough.
You have to look away. And honestly, that I mean, great shot.
Great storytelling.
Great cinematic storytelling, but also like, thank you.
Thank you, because it was hard to watch.
It was, yeah.
So the following day, he storms into the campaign office where she works and basically like berates her and kind of like harasses her until he's kicked out.
Which is like, I'm sorry, what girl hasn't rejected a guy and then have him immediately get angry and like start saying like, well, you're not all that anyway. It happened to a girl I was with 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I think it's happened to every girl on the planet. It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you.
Oh, it's happened multiple times.
Yeah.
It's the moment you say no. It's like, actually, you're horrible then.
Oh, you're actually just ugly.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you didn't think so 0.5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Like, so what changed?
The best thing to do is just like stare at them. Like, just don't even give them a reaction.
So after this, Travis kind of experiences like an existential crisis and grows much more rageful at the acts of prostitution and just like kind of the overall like what he calls scum happening throughout the city.
Yeah.
Travis confides in a fellow taxi driver who he kind of like hangs around with that he has these increasingly violent fantasies. And the other man dismisses him and just is like, oh, it's fine. It's normal.
I mean, they're not friends. Like, what do you say?
Also, this is why I like Travis, I think, the most out of the 3 antiheroes that we've watched. Maybe not the most, because I love to hate Lou.
Yeah.
But I think Travis is the most like sympathetic because
I'd agree.
He actively tries to reject these bad feelings. He says to his buddy, I guess I'll call him, he's like, I'm having these really dark thoughts and like, I don't know, man, like that I'm worried. And again, like, I don't really blame the guy. If I was not for the like having violent fantasies, but like I don't blame him for being depressed and like always like in a bad mood.
No, he's a vet who was then just dropped back into society and like, okay, now assimilate. And everything that you've learned over your year, we never quite learn the details of Travis's time in the military, but we can assume that maybe he didn't return as the man that he went.
To find an outlet for this rage that he's feeling, Travis begins following an intense physical training regimen. He gets in contact with a black market gun dealer and buys 4 different handguns. Back at his apartment, he practices drawing his guns and recites a very, very iconic, what would you even call it, mantra?
He's just more like phrases. He's like pretending like, you know, some assailant is in front of him and he's like talking smack and you talking to me? You talking to me?
I'm the only one here, so you must be talking to me. I mean, who hasn't practiced what they were saying in the mirror?
I did it like 3 days ago.
I probably did it this morning for this podcast.
Yeah, no, literally. So Travis develops this intense interest in Senator Palantine, who is the senator that Betsy was campaigning for.
Yeah, the one who's running for president.
And it kind of seems like he might blame Palantine in some twisted way for his own failure at wooing Betsy, and maybe even hopes to harm him. Travis is really starting to lose it at this point.
Yeah, like, he's becoming more and more separate from society.
Yes, and less in touch with reality. He begins attending Palantine's rallies to try to scope out his security.
Now, his actions at this, you're like, buddy, are you trying to get caught?
Yeah, like he could not look more suspicious.
It couldn't look more suspicious and like actively puts himself in that position.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they seek him out. He goes up to the Social Security and he's like, so you guys carry guns? Travis is so like out of touch with other people. So I don't think he even realizes how suspicious he's acting. I think he's just like, oh yeah, this makes sense to do.
Yes.
So I can get more intel. It's, I don't know.
No, it's great. One night, Travis is at a convenience store and a man attempts to rob it. Travis pulls out one of his guns and kills him.
Yes, this was I forgot that scene even happened.
I know, but this is a real turning point for Travis where he has now almost started to live out his like vigilante fantasies of like that he's going to be this person who's going to clean up the streets and like to get the scum off the streets.
Yes.
Like this is really, I think, after this point is where he really allows himself to indulge in this heroic vision that he wants to, this like heroic ideal that he wants to be.
Especially because in that situation, the store clerk is like Travis is like, oh shit, what do I do? And the store clerk is like, I'll handle it. Like, get out of here. You like, he kind of like thanks him.
Yeah.
So throughout this entire movie, because this movie's told in a very like fragmented, almost like montage kind of way.
Very much so. We're never quite sure exactly how much time has passed between scenes.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I mean, you have to assume it's within a month just from the presidential campaign.
True.
But you're right. Like we could jump between scenes and it could be like a week or it could be like a day.
And,
we don't know.
We're never quite sure. And I honestly really like that because it kind of reflects Travis's like no sleep. Like
it puts us in his POV, I feel like
floating from place to place, like never quite entirely oriented. That's also kind of how you feel as a viewer of this film.
Throughout the entire film, we see Travis interact with a young prostitute. Her name is Iris. We learn later on she's played by Jodie Foster. This was her first film role, is that right?
I believe, if not her first, it was like
her breakout.
I mean, she was, just because it was so controversial at the time, and I mean, like, still, if anything, maybe it would be more controversial today.
Yeah, I mean, it's still very disturbing.
Yes, and purposefully so. Also, but yeah, no, this kind of maybe even let's not, other than Silence of the Lambs, this is probably remains her most iconic role.
Can I just say before we like get into her, she's great in this movie. I mean,
she's nominated for an Oscar. Deservedly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, deservedly.
Oh, wow, good.
She's really good.
She's not in it that much. Like she's just kind of like spaced out here and there.
But she's a scene stealer.
Oh my God, she has a great, amazing scene with Robert De Niro in a diner.
Oh.
Keep in mind, this is after Raging Bull, I believe. So Robert De Niro is like an established actor.
Yeah.
And Jodie Foster's like 14, 15. She is holding her own against him in this scene. Like you would have thought that she is like, has been working her entire life.
She gives the performance of an adult. Like, and not even like, context aside, her performance is so nuanced that it's
so
like
genuine.
It's so nuanced, it's so genuine that it's like a very seasoned actress is performing.
Yeah, I mean, you don't feel like she's acting at all. And again, like for a child, that's so impressive.
You see even like the pose she has to play as a prostitute, and then there's this great scene with Robert De Niro where she meets him in a cafe. And she's in a t-shirt and like sunglasses. And it's like, oh my God, it's this great moment of seeing her as a child.
Even the meal
really,
she's doing, she's making a little like jelly sandwich with like toast and like marmalade or like whatever.
And it's like, oh my God, she's such a kid.
Yeah. And just the way, again, she carries herself, it's great. So Travis and her meet when she's first trying to escape her pimp. And this is like a quick, brief encounter.
Yeah, she tries to get into the cab and her pimp comes in and pulls her out.
Literally
like,
drives
throws
her
money at Travis.
Yeah, so, and then they've had like one or two interactions after that.
And he keeps seeing her. And I think Travis is very disturbed by seeing her, obviously.
Not only very disturbed, I think he kind of thinks as he grows more into this vigilante role that it's fate that they keep meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to be so sorry you opened this door. So I love how the two speaking female characters are Betsy and Iris. We never learn anything about either of their backgrounds. They both only serve as catalysts to Travis.
Yeah.
And they both kind of represent the like Madonna whore ideal of womanhood. Betsy is the girl next door. Like she wears white.
Travis describes her as an angel.
Yes, when he's
first sees her, yeah.
And she is to be protected from the world, where someone like Iris needs to be saved. And Travis really has this thing with women about needing to be protected or saved if they haven't been corrupted yet. And I think maybe Iris's youth is he sees her as like, you're being corrupted, but you can still be saved.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Travis tricks her pimp. His name is Sport. He's played by Harvey Keitel,
who is having a blast in this role. He's so disgusting.
He's so stereotypical pimp.
But like Travis approaches him under the guise of wanting to solicit Iris when really he just wants to speak with her and try to convince her to, go home. Like, don't do this. And Harvey Keitel is just the most lecherous, disgusting.
He's got a coke nail.
Yes.
That pops up.
It's just
great detail.
He really is just having kind of a ball with this.
Yes, absolutely.
And his few scenes are very entertaining.
Later in the movie, Travis shaves his hair into a mohawk and attends a public rally where he plans to assassinate Palantine. Before he can get too close and actually commit the act, the Secret Service sees Travis like reaching inside his jacket for his gun and go to stop him. And this kind of escalates into like a little chase scene. Travis arms himself and then drives to the brothel where Iris works. He enters the building, shoots Sport, and shoots one of Iris's clients. Travis himself is shot twice, I think once in the neck and the other like in the arm. Mm-hmm. However, he manages to kill Sport, the client, and the bouncer. He attempts to die by suicide, but then realizes that he is out of bullets. Iris is present for all this, by the way. She's terrified and cowering in the corner.
She is shaking, crying. This scene is genuinely so horrifying. Like, the blood has soaked the walls. Like, it almost feels like you're in hell watching this.
And
like,
the music. Oh, the music's so good.
The music throughout the film is really great. A lot of jazz as Travis is driving around New York.
Very noir feeling.
Very noir. This film has a lot of noir elements. It's truly horrifying. And I mean, it is also kind of horribly ironic how Travis is always railing about the crime and the violence and the dirt, and it's like by far the most violent act in this film is one that Travis commits himself.
Yeah, he slumps down on the couch, very injured, as the police enter the room. And this is where the movie gets interesting to me, because I swore he died. I swore he died. I was ready for the movie to end and the credits to roll, and all of a sudden it cuts to the next scene, and I was like, wait, what's happening?
Well, I mean, very hotly debated whether the following scenes are real or Travis's maybe like dying fantasy of what would happen.
See, I never knew that until you mentioned it to me, and I actually really love that interpretation.
I think it's the better interpretation, honestly.
Totally.
Because I feel like if you look at it in a different way, it just doesn't make that much sense.
If you look at it in the way where he actually did live, it's just so unfulfilling in a weird way.
Well, Travis goes into a coma due to his injuries, but he is heralded by the press as a hero and therefore not prosecuted for the murders. He receives a letter from Iris's parents in Pittsburgh who thank him for saving their daughter and reveal that she's safe and attending school. That, I think, is what gives it away that it's not real, because, like, what family would she have that would have permitted her to do this? Like, so she just had this like safe, loving family who...
Well, in Martin Scorsese's defense, Iris mentions that she is a runaway, and she says to Travis, she's like, you're such a square. And I think she's like, my parents are squares too. But I do kind of agree with you. It's like, what parents wouldn't? Also, like, Pittsburgh is not that far. Like,
yeah. And it's like, so you ran away from home and you're choosing to do this instead of just going back home. Like, she's so little, like she's so young. Like, would this not be terrifying and deeply traumatizing for any girl that age?
You're so right, but part of me, it's hard because watching this, I was like, well, she did try to leave earlier and Sport literally yanked her out of the car and we don't know what happened. So it's like, she could be terrified to leave and it's just like telling herself it's better to stay. And also she is young and Sport is like calling her his girl. So it's like, there's clearly a lot of manipulation.
Yes.
But I agree with you in that I like this interpretation better because I think it fulfills Travis's like, I just think it's much more fitting for him to die with this like, I saved her. And again, I think it kind of completes his whole vigilante type thing in his head rather than him living and, well, you can say what happens after.
And to complete the perfect fantasy, not only is he heralded as a hero, but he recovers and goes back to work as a driver. One night, Betsy gets into his cab and tells him that she followed the story in the newspapers, like he is a hero. And Travis drops her off, but then declines to take her money like a gentleman and drives away smiling.
Yeah, I find this very like
fantastical.
Yes, especially the fact that he declines her and she is like left pining after him. Like, which I mean, there could be some level of realism, but
I mean, it's really, do you choose to believe it? Like, do you choose to believe that it's real, or do you choose to believe that he died after the shootout? Which I'm going to choose to believe that he died and it's a fantasy. It's just a little too perfect.
I 100% agree.
It's also like, yeah, like they're pimps and like not good people, but you did walk into a place with a gun and just start shooting people. Like, there's no way you're gonna get away with it just because they're also bad people.
I was
just
thinking
doesn't work like
that same thing. I was like, yeah, it doesn't matter if they were bad people. Like, you still murdered 3 people.
Yeah, like in cold blood.
Yeah.
Like, you walked in and murdered them.
Yeah. So there's no justification. You're right. Overall, I enjoy this movie. I gotta say, Martin Scorsese, does he get paid by the minute or something with these movies? Because they're all so goddamn long. Like, this movie was just so much longer than I remember it. And that was like one of the things that was like really like, I think also because again, it's not following like a super like linear storyline. So I think that's why like it felt longer. But again, like I think tonally this movie really works. I love the like style. I love how 70s it is. I think the acting's great. I think it's got great moments of direction. Well, I mean, it's a well-directed movie overall, but like I think it has like a few moments that really stand out to me.
100%.
I think it's good. Like, it's just not a movie I would like always turn on. I think with a lot of movies like that are more like filmy, it's more of an experience than like just a watch.
Taxi Driver is moody. It's a mood.
Moody is the perfect word.
It is, and it's very singular in its moodiness. I do want to really quick before we end things, like talk about Travis a little bit as an anti-hero. Like,
please.
What is he? Is he a monster? Is he a hero? Is he someone who has failed by society? Like, who's to blame in Taxi Driver? And I really like the ambiguity of the ending because it makes judgment feel so hard. It's really hard. Like, who is at fault for what Travis becomes?
I don't know. That's such a... I feel like you could go down so many different avenues with that question because part of me wants to say that the movie is kind of like, not a commentary, but for lack of a better word, a commentary on these war vets after Vietnam and like, you know, how they were just kind of thrown back into society with really no support and thrown into a society that like just also wasn't doing well itself. Like 1970s New York needed its, you know, it needed help too.
Yeah.
So you could say it's something like that, but also I don't know. I actually really like Travis as an antihero. He is one who I root for a lot more just because, again, he actively tries to fit in with society. Mm-hmm. And then I think he finally just like almost gives in to that. I don't want to say he's a monster because I don't think he is, but
I don't think he is either.
He gives into, again, for lack of a better word, a more dirty mindset.
Yeah.
I hated how I worded that, but I
understand the sentiment behind what you're saying.
Thank you.
And I read this really great review that I unfortunately didn't write like the quote, but I wrote, you're asked to enter, the film asks you to enter Travis's mind. Like you're so immersed in his perspective, mm-hmm. but not always to trust it. And you're never really asked to entirely trust everything he's telling you. And what I really liked from this review was you're never get on firm enough ground to make a moral judgment because you're so immersed in his perspective, which gets more and more fragmented as it goes on, that it is hard. And I found it very hard to judge him.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's hard to judge him.
Especially in the scenes where it's like he's interacting with Sport, Harvey Keitel's character, who's so deeply horrible and off-putting that it's like you get why Travis like hates this guy and is rageful against him because he's horrible.
And you find moments where you actually really like Travis, like the scene where he takes where he's with Jodie Foster and she's trying to like come on to him and he's like, I don't want to do that. Like, you're just a kid. You should be like going out with boys and like going to school and wearing nice dresses. And you're like, it's sad because like you can tell, again, whether it be like he's in this savior role, but mm-hmm. like you can tell he actually genuinely like wants to help her.
100% he does. And I think he is disturbed by her circumstances and in his own twisted way really does want to help her. The thing is, it's not about her. It's about him. Like,
yes.
It's about that he wants to fulfill this role, this like idealized masculine hero.
Right. And she's just a subject that he can like fulfill that role.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, I think what did I give Clockwork Orange? A 5? I think I'll do the same for Taxi Driver. All right, fine. 5.5, Olivia.
I hate this.
I'm sorry. I enjoy it a lot more when we talk about it, but I don't know. It's not my favorite Scorsese. And like,
what's your favorite Scorsese? Mine isn't Taxi Driver either, but Taxi Driver's up there.
Did he do Goodfellas?
He did do Goodfellas.
It's Goodfellas.
So that's my favorite too.
Yeah. I was like second guessing myself first. I was like, am I about to say a movie that isn't Martin Scorsese? Because then I don't know.
No, I mean, Goodfellas, Wolf of Wall Street, which we talked about last week, and movie. Taxi Driver are probably my 3 favorites from him. I did watch Raging Bull on a plane not that long ago. Not a great plane movie. Not great. A lot of screaming. A lot of interfamilial violence.
Also have never seen Raging Bull. So.
It's good. Just like
it's just not a movie for a plane.
It's just like weird to be like, oh, there's like a kid behind me. Like right. It's just like a weird one for that.
Right. Don't look over here.
Yeah.
You know what? I will bump it up to a 6 out of 10.
But don't do it just to appease me.
Simply because like a Clockwork Orange, I can really respect what it does and what it intends to do with its audience. It's not for me.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I can respect it, and I enjoyed Taxi Driver a lot more than I enjoyed Clockwork Orange.
That's
so
fair.
I think it's fair to give it a 6 out of 10.
Taxi Driver is just not concerned about whether you like the movie. Like, it just doesn't care. But it's also not as determined to make you uncomfortable as a Clockwork Orange is.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm going to go 9 for Taxi Driver. I'm going to go 9. I really like this film. I love everything about it, but especially I do, which we talked about, I love the mood. I love how moody it is. I love how it's so New York.
I love that is one of the things that works for me the most.
Yeah, and I think that Robert De Niro is he's fantastic. He's so good.
It's an iconic movie and it's an iconic role for a reason.
Yes. And I like seeing Robert De Niro as not a gangster. I do always enjoy when because listen, he's the best at being a gangster, but I love seeing him do really well in other roles. Like, I also think he's really great in Silver Linings Playbook.
I fucking love him in Silver Linings Playbook.
He's so great.
He is like an absolute scene stealer in that movie. Mm-hmm. I love that movie and I love him in it.
Same, 100% same. But I do have a thing of just I enjoy seeing Robert De Niro play other things. And yeah, no, he's awesome in this. It's iconic for a reason. I do think that like people should watch it. Like, this is one that I would recommend, and I wouldn't have as hard of a time recommending it as I would for something like A Clockwork Orange, which is like you kind of need to be a specific person for me to know that you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, totally. Like, this is a movie more people would enjoy.
Definitely.
Not all people maybe, but more than A Clockwork Orange. All right, so that was Antiheroes on film.
Yes.
Interesting week.
I had a great week. Maybe Maggie didn't.
You know what? I had a good week in the way where I watched a movie I'd never seen before, a very iconic movie. I revisited a movie I hadn't seen in years, and I got to watch a good movie that I really enjoy.
Yeah, no,
so
fair enough.
It was a good week for me to try out different things, but it wasn't in the way where I got to watch 3 favorites like you did.
Okay. Would I call them like favorites? No. Like, none of these films, maybe Taxi Driver is like 20, but like I wouldn't say that any of these films are like in my top 20 favorite films, which is why I'm really excited for what we get to watch this week for our next episode.
We have kind of like a 2-parter thing going on right now.
Our next episode is going to be about anti-heroines, and we're going to explore some female anti-heroes.
I said last time I was excited about this episode. I lied. I'm so excited about the next episode.
Me too. These are some of my favorite movies. And I mean top 10. I mean Letterboxd top 4. For we are watching our first Yorgos Lanthimos. We're watching The Favorite. We're watching Gone Girl, and we're watching Promising Young Woman.
Oh my gosh, you guys. If you thought
it's gonna
Olivia
be a good week.
Had a lot to say last or this week, you're not ready for the episode we have coming up.
But thank you guys for watching. We hope that you watch along with us this week so we can all chat about them next week, and we'll see you very soon.
I'm Maggie.
I'm Olivia.
Bye.
Bye.